about to leave. Already packing, come with me.
There are over 1 million feral camels in Australia. They originally came from the Canary Islands in 1840 and were used as transport. They do have an impact on our ecosystem though, and they can be quite destructive. There are a few management techniques to prevent those impacts, such as fencing and exporting.
Number 2, a man from Brisbane, Isaac Butterfield, actually put New Zealand on eBay for sale in 2006.
Starting bid started at 1 cent and stopped at $3,000 before eBay cut him off.
They removed the listing.
But what a bargain that would have been if you won it for $3,000.
That Aussie sense of humour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it did actually cause a little bit of upset.
So the third fact we've got is the Australian Alps receives more snowfall than Switzerland does in an average year.
The Australian Alps span 3 states, which are ACT, New South Wales and Victoria.
People started skiing there in 1861. Usually every winter between June and September, the mountains are just covered in snow.
Number 4. Australia was the second country in the world to give women the right to vote. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, the various states of Australia introduced the rights to vote, allowing women to vote and also stand for Parliament.
However, there were some racial restrictions to this, which were not lifted until 1962.
There are over 10,000 beaches in Australia, spanning around 60,000 kilometres of coastline, including the islands,
and 35,000 kilometres of just the mainland alone. The longest beach is 194 kilometres, and that is in South Australia.
It runs down the outer side of the Young Husband Peninsula.
And did you know Australia is about 2.4 times the size of India?
Australia has an area of approximately 7,741,220 square kilometres. Number 7. There are different time zones all over Australia. When you are new to the country, often this can catch you out.
And what makes it even more confusing is some of them don't even have daylight savings.
So it depends what time of year it is as to what the differences will be between each state.
And did you know there is a 5,614 kilometre fence in Australia?
It's a wire fence called the Dingo Fence,
which is actually bigger than the Great Wall of China.
It was built in the 1880s to keep the dingoes from the fertile southeast part of Australia.
But there was also some flaws with it because they found some holes where some smaller dingoes got through.
It wasn't until the 1990s though that those small holes were found where the smaller dingoes had got through.
So how long was
that was pretty successful.
How long were the holes there for?
Who knows? Number 9, the Great Barrier Reef is actually the world's largest coral reef system. It comprises of 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands.
It stretches over an area of approximately 344,400 square kilometres.
It's home to thousands of species of marine life, including 6 of the world's 7 species of marine turtle.
And number 10, Australia is the 6th biggest country in the world.
After Russia, Canada, China, the USA and Brazil. But it only has a population of 26 million.
Australia has pink salt lakes. Not just the one, but 10 of them. It relies on a high salinity level, elevating temperature so that the alga produces a red pigment.
And they're very beautiful.
Very. Insta.
Number 12. Over 27% of Australians were actually born abroad, and 48% have parents that were born abroad. That's a lot of people born abroad.
Born
Born abroad. Yeah.
Uluru, aka Ayers Rock in the Northern Territory has a perimeter of 9.4 kilometres and stands 348 metres high. It is one of the most important indigenous sites in Australia, and its nearest large town is Alice Springs, which is 450 kilometres away.
Number 14, you're going to like this one, Ben. So Melbourne was actually once known as Batmania.
No.
Not that kind of Batmania. It was named that after John Batman, an Australian entrepreneur and explorer who claimed that he found the city in 1835.
But unfortunately, his friend Robin changed it to Melbourne.
Not really a friend. It was then named Melbourne in 1837 after Queen Victoria's most dedicated Prime Minister.
And the majority of Australians live on the coast.
90% of them, in fact, live within 100 kilometres of the coast. The reason for this is that the coastline is a lot more accessible and there's also a lot more resources there.
And living inland in Australia is not for the faint-hearted. And Tasmania has some of the cleanest air in the world. There is a lack of pollution, which they say is due to its position in the Southern Ocean, far away from other land masses. And did you know Australia has over 60 wine regions?
And they produce up to 1.3 billion litres of wine per year.
They export approximately 800 million litres of it.
Number 18. Around 80% of Australia's animals are native to Australia. From the obvious koalas and kangaroos to emus, Tasmanian devils and cassowaries. If you know any more interesting facts, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear about them.
And then click on this link for your next Aussie video.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.